Welcome. I'm so excited to be here today, Tarryn. Today we're going to talk about self-care.
Hey everybody, welcome to GoTarryn TV. I'm Tarryn the Traveling Trainer out of Atlanta, Georgia. Today's episode number 502. We have a returning guest. I love having her on here. She's just wonderful, uplifting, inspirational, and she's back here, and you can see her side by side right there. Elsie Trawick out of Atlanta, Georgia as well. Elsie, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm so excited to be here.
Likewise, the pleasure's all ours, and we're excited too because I understand, as you said in the intro, you're going to be talking about self-care. Is that correct?
Yes, that's the topic for today.
Awesome. Well, I'll go ahead and give you the floor, please, and let you take off and go ahead and tell everybody about self-care, please.
Okay, well, what I want to focus on is just a couple of aspects of self-care, and I've called it the art of self-care because there are lots of different ways to look at self-care. Some of us feel like just going and getting a mani-pedi is self-care, where others feel like going to yoga every Wednesday night. So there are many different facets of self-care, and I just want to touch briefly on a couple of descriptions. In healthcare, self-care is any necessary human regulatory function which is under individual control, deliberate, and self-initiated. Okay. In philosophy, self-care refers to the care and cultivation of self in a comprehensive sense, focusing in particular on the soul and the knowledge of self. And both of those tie in together because if you think about a knowledge of ourselves is under our individual, deliberate, self-initiated control. And we do things to take care of ourselves. And that's the whole focus of self-care is what we do to take care of our physical self, our financial self, our relationship self, our career self, our spiritual self. And so all of those come into play. And which brings me to the category or the topic today, the concept of primary food. Because as a personal trainer, you deal with people who sometimes have put on some excess weight and they need to get it off. And a lot of us are dealing with that. Our obesity wouldn't be on the rise in such an epidemic. Sure. So I want to focus on primary foods because that primary food, it's not about what you put on your plate or in your mouth. It's the concept of what goes into your life. Primary foods are our relationships with ourself and others, our physical self, our physical exercise, our physical well-being, our physical attributes, and career. What do we do to make a living to support ourselves and our spiritual practices, or whether we need to find and cultivate a spiritual practice. Those are all primary foods because those four aspects, relationship, physical, career, and spiritual, all go in to make us a well-rounded person. These things, all four of these things go in to fill our souls and satisfy our hunger for life. And just as much as eating good, healthy foods satisfy and fuel our bodies. So when primary foods are balanced and satiating, our lives feed us and make our need for food secondary. And vice versa. If our primary foods are out of whack, then a lot of us, turn to quote-unquote comfort foods or junk foods or chocolate or ice cream to satisfy that internal hunger that's coming up because our relationships, our career, our physical self, and our spiritual practice are somehow out of whack or lacking, and therefore our internal self isn't being fed and nourished and satisfied. So relationships, when we go into relationships, look at all the relationships we have on a daily basis. All of us, or most of us, go outside of the home to work. We have friendships, We have friendships not only at work, but we have friendships with those who we've met prior to our jobs. We have friendships, some of us go back to grade school, all the way up through high school, college, and on. We've got our intimate and love relationships, our spouses or our life partners. We've got those. And then with those come all the touches, hugs, cuddles, sensuality, and the sexuality that goes into our relationships. And then on top of that, with our relationships, we've got our communications with all of these different people and relationships we've got going on. And how are those focusing? What is important here to cultivate are healthy relationships that support us, our individual needs, wants, and desires. And so relationships are a big part of our life. We have a relationship with practically everybody, our neighbors, our coworkers, our friends, our spouses. All of those relationships are different, and they have differing waves, fluxes, and needs. Our career, I love the quote, finding work you love or loving the work you find is just really good to live by. Mm-hmm. If you're not happy with where you are in your job or what you're doing for a living or how you're making your living, because making a living is vitally important to all of us. Making a living provides food, provides shelter, provides all the basics that we need to function in our world. And without that, we find ourselves very lacking, sometimes brings anxious, scared. I mean, the thought of being homeless is terrible. Mm-hmm. So career is very important. So I love that quote, finding work you love or loving the work you find. And break it down. If you're not happy with what you're doing, make a list of what your passions, what your interests, what your desires, what feeds your soul, and look to those avenues to find a job. Or if you don't have the skill set necessary to go in that area, look to volunteering or finding people who work in that area that you can tap into, to talk to research and find out what skills and how you get the skills to go in the area you want to go into. Because a lot of us aren't happy with what we do and we're searching. We're out there looking for something better that feeds our soul. If you are happy with what you're doing, high five, go for it. I'm so thrilled. That's wonderful. Enjoy every minute of it. And the other aspect of that is if you're in a job that in a lot of ways, financially, you have good camaraderie, you're enjoying it, maybe you just need to reach out and find other areas in your work that make it interesting and exciting and build on that so that it becomes the meaning of your work is a different level. It's not so much what you do, but you love the place you work and the people, and you find a lot of what it provides you is what you need, and it's good. Then maybe you reach out, maybe you do volunteer things through your work, or you find other groups within your work that bring fulfillment to you. Then there's our physical selves. What physical activities do we do? Do we just go to the gym for an hour every week? Or do we garden when we get home? The physical activity is very important because our bodies thrive on movement. And you and I have discussed this before. One of my blogs was on sitting kills, movement heals, mm-hmm. and how important movement is. Even the small daily movements like just cleaning your house, vacuuming, dusting, getting up and down out of a chair, those all go towards making us physically fit. But there's a lot more to it than that, and finding exercise that feeds our body. Like I love to do yoga and Pilates. I walk my dogs every day. I garden. So I don't just do one thing. I'm multi-physical. I do a lot of things, and all of those layers of physical activity bring meaning to my life. Mm-hmm. And that's what's important. So it may not be enough to just go to the gym for an hour every day. We may need to find other things and also layer the activities, like do body sculpting and strength training 2 or 3 days a week, and then turn to yoga
Mm-hmm.
for its, or Tai Chi or Pilates. There's so running, walking, there's so many things out there to do, and the body thrives on movement. That's what's important here.
Mm-hmm.
And then our spiritual practices. This is huge. A lot of people don't understand that much of what they're craving is from that spiritual side. They just feel something's lacking. There's like, gosh, there's kind of a void in my life, but I'm not sure where it is or how it came to be. And I know at one point that was huge for me. I had just cut myself off. I don't know how. I had cut myself off from a spiritual practice, and it really made a big difference in my life.
Mm-hmm.
It was not a good time for me. And rekindling that and finding a spiritual practice that had meaning to me. And there's a difference between spiritual practice and religion.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not talking about organized religion. For a lot of people, maybe that is their spiritual practice, and that is fine and wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
But there is a way you can be spiritual and not necessarily be an organized religion. They don't go hand in hand.
Mm-hmm.
And that's very important, to find that spiritual side of us. And it leads, it builds, and when it's lacking, there is a void. And I encourage all my clients to develop a spiritual practice. For some people, it might be yoga. For other people, it might be going to a daily devotional or a Bible study. There's so many aspects and ways we can incorporate the spiritual side. And it also depends on what your background is and what type of spiritual practice your family's involved in, or your friends, or the way you were brought up. Because some religions are much more involved. They're actually a part of the culture. They're not necessarily something you do on a Sunday by going to church, they are much more incorporated into our lives through the way we eat, philosophical practices, the way we may dress, how we talk to other people. So spirituality touches a broad spectrum in our life, and it is very important. And I think people tend to push it away, but I think it's vitally important to ourselves. And it's a big part in self-care,
Mm-hmm.
So I'd like to go through just a couple of ideas. There's 45 simple self-care practices for a healthy mind, body, and soul. I pulled this off Mind, Body, Green, and it's an article by Ellen Bard. And start with a compliments file. Create a compliments file. Document great things people say about you so you can read them later when you might be a little blue or need that buck me up, like, oh, I've got a big presentation tomorrow. I wonder if I'm going to be able to do it, or I've got to talk to this person about a promotion, or whatever it may be. But compliments and going back and looking at them later really can make you feel good. It's like, I did do something great. Scratch off something on your lurker to-do list. Find something that's been hanging over your head. Do it, get it done, get it off your list. Join a group that I joined Toastmasters. I love my Toastmasters group.
Mm-hmm.
They're very supportive and caring, and I find myself really involved and liking everybody in it. That's a big part of my self-care practice, is to get out there and be with these people. Change up the way you make decisions. Look at your attitude towards things. Maybe instead of being on the negative, focus on the positive. Take some time for yourself, 15 minutes a day. If you find a time that works for you during your day at work, when you just can step away from your desk, get away from your iPhone, get away from your computer, get away from your BlackBerry, get away from other people. Take some time for yourself. Get out of your office, go take a walk, remove yourself from the situation for about 15 minutes, then come back. It really allows a little bit of clarity, and you can stretch and move around. It helps reground you so that you can go back into your desk with a better attention span. Do other things that you find enjoyable. So there's a lot to self-care. It's not just about going to the gym and getting a physical exercise or going and getting a massage. It encompasses a lot more. Any questions?
That's really good, Elsie. Let me ask you this right off the bat, because that's a lot of good information. What about in terms of specifically living here in Atlanta? Because the reason why I'm asking that, most of our viewers are here also, like you and I, in Atlanta, Georgia. Let's use, for example, you're talking about meetup groups and availability of to go out and do stuff. Do you find Atlanta being a good place, to be able to do stuff like that in terms of going out and socializing?
Yeah, I do. I mean, in fact, there's so much going on. My suggestion is find out what you're interested in.
Mm-hmm.
What are your passions? What drives you? What are hobbies? What are
Okay.
interests? Because there's so much going on. There's a great, my passions are food and cooking and my animals.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and so I tend to do things around those. I'm very active in the rescue community. I've joined Toastmasters, so I really enjoy my Toastmasters group. If you enjoy food, there's so much going on with food. There are pop-ups, all kinds of stuff going on. And there are groups out there. Like I know in Grant Park, there's In Town Healthy Hound. They have a meetup once a month.
Mm-hmm.
And you come and it's for people who love animals. And they always have a rescue they're supporting so you can bring things to donate. There's so much to do because in Atlanta, we're big and we're cosmopolitan. So there's a little bit of everything for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
You just need to get out there and Google things you're interested in doing. And I
Mm-hmm.
guarantee you will find a group out there or a way to facilitate your entry into something social that you're interested in.
That's very good. And how about the exercising too? Because specifically, I'll ask you this, Elsie. Most of my clients, the hardest challenge to them, and I bet a lot of people watching can relate to this, and maybe even you can, is just the fact to get to the gym because it's almost like a mental thing. Like, well, I could skip the fitness center today because that'll give me X amount more time to get caught up on this, or the traffic's bad, or it's too hot outside, or it's too cold outside, or it's raining, or it's such a beautiful day. Why go to the gym? Any advice or suggestions, or maybe even personally, that you could tell the folks, how do you get over that hurdle, that initial, especially for new people who are intimidated, say, from going to the fitness center? Any suggestions on that?
Yes, the more you don't want to do it, that's
Mm-hmm.
when you know that's when you need to do it the
Mm-hmm.
most.
Yeah, I agree.
So
Much
don't put
agree.
it off. So the more excuses you're creating, that fear of, well, if I go, I don't know anybody, or what will I make that class? What if I don't like the gym? What do I don't like in the instructor? Just do it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that is huge for people. I even put my distractor factors. I bring them all out when it's like, oh man, it's already 5 o'clock. Traffic's going to be awful. But then I think about how good I feel once I go.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same thing for joining a new group. It's like, well, I don't know anybody. Putting ourselves out there in a new situation is highly stressful.
Mm-hmm.
But you've got to think about how you're going to feel when you walk in and you've met some new people who share a common interest with you. That's just hugely powerful because you may meet new workout buddies. You may meet people who want to go do the same thing you do. Like, I love ballroom dancing, but it's hard for me to sometimes go to the dances because I'm not that good at it and I don't go that often. And there are, quite frankly, a lot more women at the dances than there are men.
Mm-hmm.
But when I go, I have the best time. And it just really encourages and makes me feel so good to get out there and move and meet new people.
Mm-hmm.
So that is huge, but you just have to do it because when you're putting up the wall and you're building that wall higher and higher and higher, that's when you just really need to put all that stuff out of your mind, get your car keys, or walk to the gym. Find an exercise place that's in walking distance of your apartment or house. I'm so excited over here where I live. They've just redone Brighton Plaza. There's a Bar 3 there's a core yoga, there's dance 101. So I have no excuse to not go dancing. It's great. I love it.
That's excellent. And you touched on this too a few minutes ago. You had mentioned about pets and animals, and I know I love what I love about you. Awesome for the folks watching and don't know this. Elsie is a huge time animal advocate, animal rights fighter, and she's always in there trying to be in the trenches trying to help get animals placed and foster and shelter and such. But there's been scientific studies and correlations that show that dogs, for example, can be great therapy for people who go through traumatic events. I know they do that for battered wives, and they've done that for people who've been displaced from natural disasters and traumatic, events. So how does that tie in? Like, can you expand a little bit more into that about, let's say if anybody's watching right now and they're thinking of getting a pet or they want to do more, let's say they can't have a pet for any reason, but they want to do more to help animals. What can you tell those folks out there, and how would that help their self-care also?
Oh my gosh, huge, huge, huge. And I know a lot of the local rescues, particularly DeKalb County. I live in DeKalb County,
Mm-hmm.
and Lifeline Animal Services runs the DeKalb shelter, and they also run the Fulton County shelter. They have programs where you come take a pet out for an afternoon. You take them to the park, the dog park. You can bring them back to your apartment, walk them around your neighborhood. The dog gets socialization with a
Mm-hmm.
person and one-on-one attention and one-on-one walking and playing, and it's just incredibly powerful for both the volunteer and the animal. And there's several shelter rescues that do the same. There are also several rescue groups in the metro Atlanta area that do not have actual facilities and need foster parents for
Mm-hmm.
their animals. And having an animal for me is vitally important for me and my self, not only self-care, but my mental self as well. I find that the compassion brings out the best in me. And it also having the pitter patter of both large and small feet around the house does just walking in and knowing there's someone to greet me at the door and that they're here and I can take care of them. To me, it's vitally important, and especially because a lot of us live by ourselves, and having something else warm and fuzzy and that's always happy to see you and unconditional love is just very healthy. Petting a cat and petting dogs has proven to bring your heart rate and your stress level down,
Mm-hmm.
even when you're highly in stressful situations. So having that companionship and being able to take care of another living creature is just vitally important to our spiritual selves as well. So
Mm-hmm.
it's all good, but there are many DeKalb and Lifeline Animal Services does both DeKalb and Fulton County animal shelters, and they need volunteers desperately to take animals out for a day or an evening or an afternoon to the dog park, to come into the shelter and pet them and handle them and give them baths and walk them and just give them some one-on-one attention and loving is and like I said, there are a lot of rescues that don't have actual physical facilities that need foster parents. So it's a huge community out there, and they need help.
That's wonderful, Elsie. Well, again, you touched on so many different tangents in this one topic of self-care, and I think a lot of people, as myself, got a lot out of this today. I really enjoyed it. Before we let you go, though, can you, if you could, for a couple of minutes, tell the folks out there what you're doing with Elsie Trawick Wellness as well, if this is the first time that they're watching you.
Oh, great. Yes. I have a business. It's Elsie. I'm a certified wellness coach, a holistic wellness coach, and my business is Elsie Trawick Wellness. And I work with people who need and want to go gluten-free, understanding the gluten-free lifestyle. Also work with people who need to lose weight in low-carb living. My focus is on eating whole foods. So it's not about eating prepared or packaged food, but learning how to cook and care for yourself, eating a whole foods diet. It's very healthy. So it's all about the food. Food is medicine. We need to remember that. It's not just about putting stuff in our systems to give us energy to go, but food is medicine and can help us.
Very well said, Elsie. And then also, for the folks watching, how can they learn more about Elsie Trawick Wellness and contact you directly?
They can contact me at my home office, 404-315-7665, or through Facebook, Elsie Trawick Wellness.
That's awesome, Elsie. And again, thoroughly enjoyed having you back on here. We always look forward to having you on here as a monthly recurring guest. And every time you're on here, you're just the most uplifting, positive, upbeat person that I interview. And I always learn so much in just a short amount of time. This half hour flew by so quickly. And I always look forward to them. I can't wait to talk to you next month as well. And on that, too, let me say this. I know last time we were talking, let's definitely set a time where I can come out there. And I know we mentioned talking about helping to record some of the kitchen food demonstrations as well. I definitely want to do that and help out with you on that.
Yeah, I'm working on getting my YouTube channel. I'm actually got there's a personal chef I know who is going to be doing some things too. And then I've got a couple of people lined up. So it's not just going to be me. And the focus is how to cook for yourself, how to use kitchen utensils, knife etiquette in the kitchen so you don't chop off a couple of fingers. So I'm very excited about what's going on with the YouTube channel.
That's excellent. Very good. Well, maybe next time we chat, we'll get that YouTube channel up and running.
I hope my website and the YouTube channel are up by the next time we chat. And also, we're going to be covering, let me just throw this in real quick. We're going to be covering different kind of diets, not just focusing, even though my focus is gluten-free because I keep gluten-free, but we're also going to be talking about paleo, vegan, vegetarian, other diet, bringing in, talking about a lot of the dietary theories that are very popular right now because we're all different. Biodiversity and not one diet, or we're not a one-size-fits-all. What maybe work for me may not work for you. So we've got to have a healthy discussion and make available knowledge about all these dietary theories because they're so important. The old adage, we are what we eat, or junk in, junk out. Hey, like I said, food is vitally important, and eating a whole food, healthy diet is critical for our ability to think and to function. And we're all busy, and we need that energy to keep up with life.
Very well said, Elsie. Well, again, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule being on here to help everyone out there. We'll look forward to having you back on here next month, and the next topic of discussion, I'm really looking forward to it, learning more. And like I said, let's definitely get together. Let me know when I can come out that way, and we'll go over and do some stuff on your YouTube channel, and I can help record some stuff in the kitchen as well. That'd be great.
Oh, wonderful. I'll be in touch with you soon. Thank you.
Please do. All right, folks. Well, there you have it. That was Elsie Trawick. Elsie, enjoy the rest of your day. And folks watching, my pleasure. Thank you, Elsie. We'll see you soon.
Bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye. All right, everybody, there you have it. Ms. Elsie Trawick back here on GoTarryn TV. Elsie Trawick Wellness. Check her out today, folks, and we're going to have her back on here next month for yet another exciting hot topic. So, Elsie, thank you so much for coming back on here, and looking forward to having you come again here next month. And it's always a pleasure having you, Elsie. So keep up the great work you're doing here in the greater Atlanta area. And also, I want to take this opportunity to invite everyone who's watching GoTarryn TV to make sure you tune in and check out another project that yours truly is working on. I'm going to be teaming up with another co-host, Ms. Di Chapman. You've seen her here previously on GoTarryn TV. We're going to be starting up our own co-hosting podcast set to be entitled Dynamic Talk with Di and Tarryn. So be on the lookout for that because it's coming next week. Episode number 1, we're going to be interviewing Dr. Stephen Mason all the way from Laguna Beach, California, so you don't want to miss that. So one more time, be on the lookout for that. We're coming up with episode number 1 of a new and hot show called The Dynamic Talk Show with Di and Tarryn. So that'll be coming up for you next week. I'll get more information on that when it appears. But in the meantime, thank you so much for watching GoTarryn TV today. I invite also everyone out there to please make sure to like GoTarryn on Facebook, subscribe to GoTarryn on YouTube, and follow GoTarryn on Twitter, and that way you'll stay connected with yours truly, Tarryn the Traveling Trainer, the master of the personal training universe, who tells each and every one of you out there that it's your time, it's your investment, it's your life. Thanks for watching again, folks, and we'll see you on the next GoTarryn TV video blog.